I wanted to focus on why looking at training from your dog's perspective is so important for your training success in everyday situations. Now, there are a number of very important points. And the first one has to do with the domestication of dogs over the past 15,000 years or so. Dogs were bred specifically to be companion animals for humans, to live in close confines with us. And the result of domestication is that dogs actually prefer human company over their own species. And I'm sure that you can think of times where your dogs followed you on many occasions or sat next to you and waited patiently for hours while you've been on Facebook or on your computer or doing something else. Or even just waiting patiently for you at the front door for when you come back home again. Now, the result of domestication of dogs over this time has also meant that dogs are dependent on humans for all of the things that they need. Now, these are the things that they need on a daily basis. Things like food, water, appropriate shelter, what they get to do that is fulfilling, rewarding, and meaningful from their perspective, and also their social needs. But also we need to consider what our dogs don't get to do as well, because we make the rules and restrictions. We decide their choice or lack of choice and their lack of freedom. And also this is related to their social needs as well. So let's just imagine what that life might be like if we were in that position. So when we understand what a dog is, what they do as a species, what their instinctive and preferred behaviours are, depending on their personality, their demeanour in everyday situations, and their confidence level, by understanding our dog, we're actually helping them in the most fundamental way to be successful in everyday situations when we think about what behaviours we find desirable and acceptable. By understanding our dog and looking at training from their perspective, we're then able and genuinely motivated to want to provide our dogs with what they truly need as a species, with respect to those physical and mental needs, and that's on a daily basis. And instead, we're not focusing on myths based on what we think our dogs need. And this links into an especially crucial and fundamental fact about dogs that I'd like to share with you. Dogs have a limited ability to reason, and a dog's mental capacity is at a similar level to a child of about 2 years of age. Now, a dog's limited ability to reason also means that they're unable to think in terms of the past or the future, and they're not able to understand what it means to behave appropriately. And of course, the reference is always based on what humans consider to be appropriate according to human social etiquette, rather than from the dog's perspective. And dogs are also unable to understand concepts related to time, such as, can you wait for a while? Or you can't have this right now, or you can do this later. Most importantly, dogs are unable to understand the concept of being sorry for something that they may have done in a situation. And for example, chewing your favourite shoe that you may have left lying around, or tugging clothes off a clothesline because they were there and in reach. And of course, from the dog's perspective, they were something interesting to interact with because they could chew it or have a tug of war game with it, or they may have had nothing else available or provided for them to keep them mentally occupied in a way that is approved by the human. So these things that I just talked about are all enjoyable from our dog's perspective. And they're also based around behaviours that a dog might like to perform, depending, once again, on their confidence level, their personality, the opportunity that they get to do those things, and whether other dogs in the household might actually like to do those things as well. And so the other dog is going to join in on that fun. So again, looking at training from our dog's perspective enables us to see the truth of a situation when our dog is performing an undesirable behaviour or not responding to us in the way that we'd like them to. Now, I wanted to focus on a particularly jarring and very sad fact about the 21st century urban dog. In the US alone, over 3 million dogs are surrendered to shelters every year, and over 650,000 dogs will be euthanised. A large proportion of those dogs will be euthanised because of their undesirable behaviour or behavioural problems. But we have to remember that these problems have been classified as such by humans, despite there always being a valid reason for a dog's behaviour in a given situation. Another very important fact that is related to dogs, and for some reason we just cannot shake ourselves of this concept. Even now in the 21st century, dominance is still a term that is used widely within the dog training industry, despite the evidence demonstrating this to be a myth in relation to dogs and the science of dog behaviour. And ultimately, terms like dominance also leads humans to judge and blame dogs. And this mindset sets a firm intention of following the pathway to punishing dogs instead of towards the pathway of science, the theory of how dogs learn, and the basic yet fundamental concepts of dog behaviour, the science in emotion, and how your dog's behaviour in everyday situations is intimately intertwined with their emotional state. So when we shift our mindset to understanding that there is always a valid reason for our dog's behaviour in an everyday situation, we then start looking for answers, because we're asking why. Why is our dog performing that undesirable behaviour? And we're asking why instead of how do I stop my dog from barking, jumping up at me, running along the fence line, barking at the front door, or how do I get my dog to stop barking, stop running up and down the fence or jumping up. And instead of living in that mindset, when we understand that there's always a valid reason for our dog's behaviour, this shifts our mindset to a place of empathy, compassion and understanding. And these are the cornerstones of being successful in teaching or training with your dog and helping your dog to live in harmony with you. You are then training with your dog with the mindset of a guardian, not the mindset of an owner.